Hello, this is Prisma Lopez-Marin here on 18 WJTS. We are here on our Conversations on Monday with Town Manager Chris James.
Hello, Prisma.
Hi. Thank you for having us. So in terms of having things going on in Ferdinand, there was something that the three of you, meaning mayors of Huntingburg and Jasper, and you as well, did something on Friday, which was very interesting regarding a website.
We all share the same website administrator. If you go to the Town of Ferdinand, City of Huntingburg, City of Jasper website, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see eGov strategies. They have developed a template, if you will, for an e-notify emergency alert system. This is not weather-based, but in the event of a boil order, an electrical outage, street issues of some kind where there's going to be a closure of a road, whether it's planned in advance or not, depending on how the case goes, this will be a way to get word out to residents of that particular community or anywhere else that this is going on, and so they can kind of plan accordingly. The genesis of this kicked in about 2 years ago. The city of Jasper had literally a citywide boil order. The Patoka River and a natural occurring phenomenon turned over, and the water was not drinkable. It happened in the middle of the night. Mayor Seitz and his staff diligently pursued all of the traditional methods of notifying the public to let them know, don't drink the water or boil it. And they found that the most effective way of getting the message out, they used the Jasper school system's no school phone line, I'll call it. And that was the most effective way for them to get word out that the boil order was in effect. Nowadays, more and more people, there are so many different methods of notification, be it through the TV station or through newspaper or website or from radio. Not everybody goes to those as much as they used to, and that is why the phone system worked best. That prompted a series of meetings with the officials in the communities and the county trying to figure out a way of finding someone who could create this, so we have an option in case of a future event, word can get out. And the cost of those third-party groups was a little bit higher than what we were hoping to spend. And I was not at the meeting where it was thrown out that the three main communities all share the same administrator, eGov. And it was brought up, so well, let's call them and see if they can do that. And contact was made with Ken Barlow, and they had never actually done anything like this before. They'd never been asked. And so their people got to work on it and found that they could create a shared platform of notification. And so if you go to Ferdinand, Jasper, or Huntingburg websites, you will see a tab sort of in the middle upper part of the screen. It says Messaging Portal. You click on that, and that will bring up that particular community's information. You would fill out contact info, whether you want text messages, email, or both. Fill out the appropriate information and click Save, and you will then receive those notifications. As soon as, let's say something happens in Ferdinand, I put together a release and post it on our website, it automatically will link and send a contact to your text or to your email. And so you are then aware of the electrical outage coming up or the boil order, whatever the case may be. And there's also an option at the bottom of that screen that you can then link on to the other two communities. And because a lot of folks live in Ferdinand but work in Jasper, or live in Jasper, work in Huntingburg, or live outside of the county but work in one of the communities. So this is a way they have that information available, or at least a way of being notified, as opposed to showing up at work day of and then, oh, by the way, and then finding out kind of at the last minute maybe where they weren't able to plan accordingly. So you can click on that, and there are various options. Each community is going to kind of fine-tune what you can link onto or what gets notifications sent out for. Each community is different, and you can literally just click on what you want, cherry pick on the particular items that are of interest to you, and submit those in, and you will receive them, and you actually will create an account. So if you moved away or retire or whatever the case is, and you don't want those emails anymore, you can, in a sense, unsubscribe. and then you're pulled out. And this is all, it's very secure information. We're not selling anybody's information to anyone. It's all about as secure as can be. eGov does a lot of other work, very highly confidential government-related activity. So they need to have a very top-notch security system so that things aren't shared or sold to the third party where all of a sudden you get these spam mails about this, that, or the other. So they're very up on top of that, and I think it's going to be a great system. Hopefully it will be used very little in any of the communities because that means things are running smoothly. But on the event of a water situation or an electrical outage or something, there will be another way, along with the traditional methods through our regular media, of getting the word out that there's that quicker instant access, because so many people nowadays, everything they have is on that cell phone in their pocketbook or on their belt. So ding, the phone goes off and they can pull it out and say, oh, there's this going on. And so it's automatically known, and then they can plan appropriately for what the circumstance is, whether it's to take a road detour or don't come to work today because there's no water or whatever the case is. So got to give a big heads up to eGov for putting this together. They could have very easily said, we don't do anything like that, and we're not going to, without not necessarily saying it that way, but they could say, well, we don't offer that, and then we'd be scrambling for something else. But they took the initiative, and I believe, speaking with Mr. Barlow, we're going to kind of be a pilot program a little bit, because they service communities and counties and agencies throughout the country. So if there's a circumstance where they've got multiple users within the same county or in a geographic area, they can, in a sense, pitch that to those communities and say, would you be interested in? And then they could say, go to Ferdinand, Jasper, Huntingburg's webs pages, check it out, and see if that's something there's an interest in. So we look forward again to kind of leading the way here in Du Bois County, being progressive again in another method with our websites and that information going forward.
It's definitely a good source or a good tool of all the communities to be involved. There's a lot of several things that have been including both, all three communities, and I think that's great to show the public, that we're very united. The
spirit of cooperation has gotten stronger and better in the last probably decade or so. Not that it was bad before, but there's just more of a sense of collaboration between the communities now, where Ferdinand will suggest something and Jasper can say, well, we did this, and we can kind of work it together. Or Huntingburg, with some of the things they're doing right now because of their stellar situation, the other communities kind of watch how they develop certain things and then try that same approach in their community. Maybe not exactly the same, but at least all of a sudden we've got a working diagram to go from. Well, Huntingburg did A, B, and C. We can tweak it and do our own thing, but get the same results. So there's a lot more of that collaborativeness going on in the county, and I foresee that continuing to grow for many years to come.
Absolutely, and I did see, I did talk to Mr. Bellow, and he did say that he did appreciate working with all three communities just because everybody was on the same page in terms of being cost effective.
Definitely, and that was another benefit of this, because it was a shared system, an existing shared system. There wasn't as big of a startup cost dynamic as opposed to if we had actually gone to eGov, do our website, and then build this in separately. We already had the platform, just adding another layer to it, and I think it's going to be a good thing for all of us in the county.
Absolutely, and then there is something going on throughout Indiana, the torch relay that is actually coming down to Du Bois County, and it's first happening here?
Starts, I think they come out of Spencer County area on Wednesday morning, and they will come through Ferdinand before eventually going over to Huntingburg, Jasper, and through Du Bois County. But we will have a viewing stand of sorts located in front of the Woolman House on Main Street. The torch will come into Du Bois County, into Ferdinand, and will be transitioned off to a vehicle, or actually like a big wagon, carrying a lot of our veterans from World War II, Korea, maybe even Vietnam. And these gentlemen, as their caravan, if you will, moves up Main Street, will be passing the torch amongst themselves. So they all carry the torch without physically having to be out on the road. And then we'll come up to the viewing stand. Ken Seacard will do a brief speaking address. Sue Ellspermann, former Lieutenant Governor, she is also going to have some comments, and then Sue actually will take the torch and take it northward outside of town, and at that point it will be transferred onto a waiting vehicle which will move at high speed to Huntingburg, so they can then have their day in the sun, if you will, later on that morning. So it's going to be a very bang type of morning. It's going to get underway about 8:30. The high school band, I believe, is going to perform a brief song that morning. A lot of the school kids from Pine Ridge, and I'm thinking Ferdinand Elementary and Cedar Crest, they'll gather as many of the kids as they can at that site just so they can sort of experience what's going on, because you don't have a bicentennial every day.
Exactly.
So looking forward to that. Be getting a lot of that set up that morning, but we'll have a viewing stand area and have the sound going. Special thanks to Clem and Mary C. Longy, founders of Best Home Furnishings. They're going to be picking up the tab for breakfast down at the American Legion that morning. I don't know if it's necessarily for everyone, but you can go and have breakfast and see if they'll pay your bill too or not. But I encourage folks to come into town that morning, and if you have the opportunity, just kind of follow the torch through the county and see how each community sets up their honoring system, if you will, as it works through and then moves northward out of here.
It's a great way for everyone in the community to be part of something that is not going to happen probably in our lifetime.
Definitely. Looking forward to that. So.
And then another thing that's happening here in Ferdinand in terms of celebrating, we do a lot of celebrations here in Ferdinand. One that's coming up this weekend is the Ferdinand Festival. This is our 7th annual. This does come every year, so if you don't miss it, if you miss it this year, it will do it again next year. So it's easier to schedule in your calendar. But we'll be doing that all day Saturday up at 18th Street Park. We've been doing a lot of our preparation work for weeks and months, and right now we're kind of in the hurry up and wait mode, getting things prepared, but we can't do certain things until a day or two beforehand when we're at the park, getting up the banners and the other signs in terms of where to park or where you can't park, stage set up, getting everything ready to go, getting picnic tables out, getting the booth spaces marked off for when the vendors come in. They know where they need to go to set up their particular booth. If they need tables, we have those ready for them. And then the music starts about 11:30 Saturday morning on the Cayena Woodstock Market stage. And then at noon, we'll start up on the main stage, which is presented this year by NextEra Energy, a brand new sponsor for that. So, and I have to thank all of our sponsors. Best Home Furnishings, they're our presenting sponsor again this year. Master Brand Cabinets, they are sponsoring all of the children's activities, and we've got a full slate of that going on in the lower shelter house. And they're also the sponsor specifically for Rich Robinson, who is our headline act this year. He'll hit the stage about 7:30 Saturday night, but it's going to be just a day of great food, music. There's activities for the kids in terms of the children's activities. We'll have bounce houses again, over 3 dozen arts and crafts vendors. We'll have over 12 environmental and education-based vendors. Leukemia Association, they'll be in, I believe it's noon to 4, doing actually a bone marrow match. It's called Be the Match. They'll have a booth set up where they'll actually do the swabs to see if you match with someone who may need your bone marrow. So that's going on. That's something that we haven't done before. Just a plethora of activities. So come into town, find a spot on the hillside, kind of camp out early, mill about all day long. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we welcome everyone into Ferdinand again for the Folk Festival. We expect another 8,000 to 10,000 people to come through town on Saturday, and try to get a couple of those folks to realize, hey, this is a nice area. I want to relocate here, and kind of set roots and go from there. So it's going to be a great day, and encourage everyone to come on out. Well, thank you. Thank you for informing us here in Ferdinand.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on 18 WJTS Conversations on Monday.